بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الناصح الأمين اللهم صل على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين ثم أما بعد الحمد لله على نعمة الإسلام والسنة. All praise and thanks belong to Allah for guiding us to Islam and for guiding us to the Sunnah. حدثني جماعة من الشيوخ وهو أول حديث سمعته منهم كل بإسناد إلى سفيان بن عيينة عن عمرو بن دينار عن أبي قابوس مولى عبد الله بن عمرو عن عبد الله بن عمرو بن عاص رضي الله تعالى عنهما عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال الراحمون يرحمهم الرحمن ارحموا من في الأرض يرحمكم من في السماء. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said in a tremendous hadith, and his hadith is a hadith that is musalsal bil awwaliyah. It is a hadith that many of the imams of the past, they will say حدثني فلان حدثني شيخ فلان وهو أول حديث سمعته من. They will say that this hadith was narrated to me by Sheikh so and so, and it was the first hadith that I heard from him. And it is a tremendous hadith, and many of the imams of the past, they will begin with this particular hadith, and that is that those who show mercy, those who are merciful, then they will be shown mercy by the most merciful. Be merciful to those who are in the earth, and the one who is above the heavens, then he will show you mercy. This hadith is tremendous because it highlights for us the nature of ilm, the nature of knowledge. Because ilm, al-ilm al-rahmah, knowledge is mercy. Natijatuhu al-rahmah fi dunya. The result of knowledge is mercy inside of the dunya. Bughayatuhu al-rahmah fi al-akhirah. And the ultimate goal of knowledge, the ultimate target and objective of knowledge is mercy in the hereafter. It's mercy in the hereafter. Now, we continue going over the tremendous work by the great Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala. We're just concluding, or we will be concluding bithnillahi ta'ala very shortly, the first hadith, or discussion on the first hadith. And that is the hadith of Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And that is the famous and well-known hadith that contains a tremendous principle from the principles of the deen, of the religion. And that is the hadith of what? Who can tell me? Na'am. He said it in Arabic. Who can tell me in English? Na'am. Ahsant. That verily the actions they are but by intentions. Na'am. And that everyone will have what they intended, meaning they will be rewarded for that which they intended. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he brought a tremendous example for us, and a tremendous act of worship was mentioned therein, which shows the superiority of this particular act of worship. What was that act of worship that was mentioned in the example of the Prophet ﷺ? It was what? Nah. Hijrah. Ahsant. It was the hijrah. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said that من كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله. That whoever his hijrah is to Allah and His Messenger, then his hijrah is to Allah and His Messenger. So whoever his hijrah was to Allah and His Messenger, meaning by way of their intention. If that was their intention, then they will be rewarded for that intention, and they will be rewarded and counted as those who made hijrah. They will be from the muhajirun. And whoever's hijrah was to the dunya. وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ لِلدُّنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا أَوْ امْرَأَةٍ يَنْكِحُهَا. So whoever his hijrah was for the dunya, na'am, to benefit from the dunya, لِيُصِيبُهَا أَوْ امْرَأَةٍ يَنْكِحُهَا, or for a woman to marry her, na'am, then their hijrah was to whatever they made hijrah for. Then their hijrah was to whatever they made hijrah for. Na'am? But this particular event of the hijrah, there has come some narrations that try to explain the purpose or the reason that the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned whoever makes hijrah to marry a woman. Na'am. Imam Ibn Rajab, he highlights this and he points this out. And this is, as he mentions, he says, وَقَدْ اشْتَهَرَ, and it's well known, you might have heard it before, it has become well known, أَنَّ قِصَّ مُهَاجِرِ Qais, the story of the Muhajiri Qais. And this is the one who made hijrah for Qais, to marry her. وهي كانت سبب قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, that this was the reason for the statement of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, من كانت هجرته إلى الدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها, to the end of the hadith, that whoever his hijrah was for a worldly gain or for a woman so as to marry her. However, وذكر ذلك كثير من المتأخرين, many of the scholars of the later generations, they mention this, that this was the story behind why the Prophet ﷺ, he made that particular statement. However, as Imam Ibn Rajab rahmatullah alayhi, he points out, وَلَمْ نَرَى لِذَلِكَ أَصْلًا بِإِسْنَادٍ يَصِحُّ وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ. He says, but I have not seen that this story has any type, or the connection between the two has any type of origin, has any foundation that has come with an authentic chain. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. So you have others from the ulama, they mention that even if it could be affirmed that this particular story, this particular incident, then that is a separate incident and has nothing to do, and there's no connection to why the Prophet ﷺ made the statement here in this hadith. So ala kulli hal, even if it were to reach the point of being an acceptable narration, it is not connected to this particular hadith. That was something, this is something different. That makes sense. But and that's an important point to know and to understand. Also, another important point that has linked to the intention, before we get into some of the benefits that are extracted from this particular narration, is that النية محلها القلب, is that the intention, the place of it is inside of the heart. The place of the intention is inside of the heart. نعم. وتلفظ بها بدعة, and to articulate it, to say it, then this is innovation. This is an innovation. نعم. And it's important that we point this out, because a person may say, well, what's wrong with if I say it? What's wrong if I say, and I intend to pray 4 raka'at for Salatul Dhuhr, مثلا, for example, right? And why is it termed a bid'ah? If we were to understand a nature of bid'ah, one of the aspects that point to the nature of bid'ah is that it is something that the Prophet ﷺ had the ability to do, but he never did it. And there were no preventative factors that prevented him from doing it. But yet he never did it. But yet he never did it. So when we look at it from this standpoint, and we ask, did the Prophet ﷺ articulate his intentions, and did he teach the Sahaba to do that before they prayed, for example? Then the answer will come back strikingly, no, he didn't do it. He himself, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, did not do it, and he did not teach the companions to do it. So when we go back and we look at an aspect from the nature of bid'ah, something that the Prophet ﷺ did not do, there were no preventative factors that prevented him from doing it. Now, there were no extenuating circumstances, and that's the reason why he didn't do it. No, he could have did it if he wanted to do it. He had the ability to do it. He could have done it if he wanted to do it. Now, and yet he didn't do it. So then to do it, ta'abbudan, to do it, as a way of worship, then this will be what? This is bid'ah. Because it was not taught to us by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because when it comes to ibadah, ibadah is tawqifiyya. Naam, tawqifiyya means what? It means we stop. Right? It means we stop. Waqf. You stop. You stop until you know what is the position, what is the ruling from Allah and His Messenger. Then once you have heard the command, then you obey it. Then you do it. Sami'na wa ata'na. We hear, we obey. Now, but also when we look at this, we have to ask the question, one, if we were to do something that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not do we think it is good? And if we think it is good, do we think that we have discovered a good that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself didn't know? Because if it was good and the Prophet ﷺ knew it was good, then he would have what? He would have done it, he would have taught us to do it. Now, so if he didn't do it, and he didn't teach us to do it, he didn't do it. But so are we trying to say that we are capable of discovering a good that the Prophet ﷺ didn't know about? Then of course the person will say, no, that's absurd. Now, but we're doing a good the Prophet ﷺ didn't do. We beat the Prophet ﷺ in doing a good. Is that fathomable? We'll say, no, that's pretty absurd. It's pretty absurd, right? So when we look at it from these aspects and these standpoints, and also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي. That on this day I have completed for your religion. Religion is perfect, right? I have perfected your religion and completed my favor upon you. So on this day, Islam is perfect. That's it. Like, so if we think that we can come with something from good that the Prophet ﷺ did not teach us, that was not practiced and taught when this ayah was revealed, do we believe that this ayah is not accurate? Hasha lillah. Of course not. This is kufr to say something like that, right? But this is what is implied. This is what is implied, that this is not accurate, because there was some good that came after this ayah. There was still some good left that wasn't pointed to yet. So we know, hasha lillah, this is not correct. Right? You see how abominable this statement is, how heinous this statement and this implication is. Now, but also, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, ما من أو بالمعنى ما من شيء يقربكم من الجنة ويبعدكم عن النار إلا وقد أمرتكم به وما من شيء يقربكم إلى النار ويبعدكم عن الجنة إلا وقد نهيتكم عنه. That there is nothing that will get you close to Jannah, بمعنى that there is nothing that will get you close to the Jannah and away from the fire except that I commanded you to do it. And there's nothing that will get you close to the fire and away from Jannah except that I commanded you to stay away from it. نعم. أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. But what are we to say in light of that? Are we saying that this is not accurate? That is not true? Is that what we're saying? Then of course the answer is, of course not. No one is saying this. No one in their right mind will ever make this type of allegation. So, with that being the case, and we realize what is implied by doing things and taking it as an act of worship in which the Prophet ﷺ, he did not teach us, then we understand how evil, dangerous, and destructive bid'ah it really is, and why the Imams of the past, they will take such a firm stance against it, because what is implied is heinous. Bila shak bila raib. It's despicable, and even saying it's despicable is a gross understatement. It is a gross understatement, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Kullu bid'atin dalala." Every bid'ah. Every bid'ah. Not ba'duha, not some of it, not julluha, not most of it. Kull. Every bid'ah is dalala. Wa kullu dalalatin fi an-nar. And every dalala is in the fire. Now, so when we reflect now on what is implied by doing innovations in the religion, then we understand this is the case. Now, it is important that we understand that what is considered bid'ah is a bid'ah inside of where? The religion. Innovation in the religion, right? Because some of the people from the juhal, those who are wanting and lacking in knowledge, they come and they say, if you're so concerned with bid'ah, brother, then why you got a cell phone? Why you drive a car? Why you got a watch on? Right? They say all these things. Now, firstly, these are things that are as relates to the dunya. That relates to the deen, relates to the dunya. Right? And also, if we go back to the aspect of bid'ah that we mentioned, it was something that the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't do. He had the ability to do it. There was nothing preventing him from doing it, but he did not do it. All right. A cell phone. Did the Prophet ﷺ do it? No. Did he have the ability to do it? No, it wasn't invented in his time. So you understand? Right? So we say there was no preventing factor that prevented him from doing it, meaning that it was there, but he just didn't. No, it wasn't there. So he didn't have the ability to do it. So could it be considered a bid'ah? No. What about a watch? What about a car? What about an airplane? A train or whatever? What about those things? They weren't there. They weren't there. So from that aspect, they can't be considered a bid'ah. Also from the aspect of what? Meaning religious bid'ah. Also from the aspect of they're not done religiously. They're not done ta'abbudan. Right? They're not done ta'abbudan. So therefore, could they constitute and enter into mean what is a bid'ah? No, they can't. They can't. So it is incumbent that we, and this is the way, the nature of Ahl Sunnah, is that we're in the middle. We're not too far to the right, we're not too far to the left, we're right in the middle. Now, we don't make things extremely difficult, and at the same time, we're not extremely lackadaisical so that nothing matters. We're in the middle. Now, we're in the middle, and being in the middle is easy, because the deen of Al-Islam is the deen Hanifiyya Samha. Is Hanifiyya, it is true monotheism, and it's easy. The deen is easy. Now, whereas to try to go to the extremes of these individuals, okay, but don't wear a watch and don't drive a car and drive a camel and all, that's difficult. Yeah? You're gonna drive a camel in Orlando? Allah understand. If you do, call me. Or maybe you can't call me now because you ain't got a phone neither. Allah understand. Send a pigeon. Send a carrier pigeon or something. Yeah. No, because I want to see that. I want to see you out there on the turnpike with your camel. Allah understand. It is incumbent that we understand these things, because sometimes people they get sensitive when they hear this stuff. When they hear what's a lafz bil niyya bid'ah, they get, oh, what do you mean? Oh no, it's a bid'ah, and it's okay if you didn't know. It's okay if you didn't know. That's fine. That's okay. There's a point that none of us knew anything. Everything we know now, there was a time we didn't know it. Then we learned it. Alhamdulillah. So this is no problem. Now, as we learn, and we increase, because remember, the likes of these classes, studying, every time you sit down with the Qur'an, the purpose is that you get up better. The purpose that you get up better. You keep improving on yourself, right? All of us, we're all works in progress. We're all works in progress. Anyone who is operating as if they're complete, they're foolish. They're foolish. All of us are in need of improvement. There's room for improvement. So we have to strive to improve ourselves. And as we learn new things, and we implement those things that we learn, because if not, then why? It makes no sense, right? Because the alim that doesn't act in accordance to his knowledge, then as the Prophet ﷺ, he said, al-alim alladhi la ya'mal bi'ilmihi kal-misbah yadhi'u lin-nas wa yahrik nafsa. That the scholar that does not act in accordance to his knowledge. Now, and I want you to understand the similitude here, but the reality is that this is for everybody. If you don't act in accordance to your knowledge, then this is very dangerous. This is very bad. But the scholar, the one who teaches and he shares, the ilm and stuff like that, the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the scholar who does not act in accordance to his knowledge is like a lantern. It's like a lantern. Now, you know, the kerosene lanterns and things like this, right? They sit in that kerosene or whatever fuel, and there sits in it the wick, right? And what does the wick do? It gives out light for the people. But at the same time, every once in a while, you have to do what? You have to change the wick. Because the wick, what? It burns itself, destroys itself. So you giving out light for the people, but you're destroying yourself. Now that doesn't make any sense. Right? That doesn't make any sense, does it? It's like if you was on the Titanic and you can get on the boat to get off of the boat, and you help everyone get inside the little boats that hang on the boat so you can get away from the boat. What's it called? Lifeboat. Now. So you get on the lifeboat, help everyone get on the lifeboat, and then you say, I'm going to chill on the Titanic. I'm good. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't make any sense. But it makes sense that you get in the boat and then you help people get on the boat. Right? You get in and then you help them get on. You help them board. That makes sense. So it is incumbent that as we learn, we do. As we learn and we improve and we do. Oh, we didn't know that, so now we do it. And so on and so forth. Now, because this is the goal. This is the goal. And we have to couple our ilm with action. With actions. Right? Off topic. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that the best salah, أفضل الصلاة, the best salah بعد فريضة, after the obligatory prayers, is qiyamul layl. It's a prayer at night. Right? I just want everyone to ask themselves, and no answer to no one but yourself, when was the last time you prayed witr? When was the last time you prayed witr? Because we should pray witr. Now, we all should pray witr. Now, if someone says the last time they prayed witr was Ramadan, adun alayk. That's very bad. Shame on you. That's a very bad thing. Now, unless you were tested by falling into a coma, last Ramadan, and you woke up today, then no problem. We're not talking to you. No problem. It's your first day awake. But if not, then maybe proverbially you fell into a coma, and maybe now this is your first time awake. So, inshallah ta'ala, pray from the night prayer. It's very important. It's very important. Now, this was something that was very important to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was consistent upon it. It was very important to the Sahaba, and they were consistent upon it. And if we want good, then we have to imitate and be upon that which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba were upon across the board. In belief, in creed, in methodology, in worship, and in character, in manners and morals. Now, character, manners and morals is very, 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 very important. Ala kulli hal, to articulate with the intention, then it is a bid'ah. فلا يجوز تلفظ بالنية في أي قربة من القرب. The Allama, Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, Hafidhahullah ta'ala, he mentions that it is not permissible to articulate with the intention in any act of worship that will draw one near from those acts of worship that will draw one near. Na'am. محلها قلب. محلها قلب. طيب. Another aspect, we saw textually, while it doesn't add up because there's no textual proof to substantiate articulating the intention before doing acts of worship. Na'am. But also the intention, put it like this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is all-knowing. Na'am. Allah ta'ala, He is all-knowing. Allah ta'ala, when we do things, Allah, whether we say something or we don't say something, Allah ta'ala knows what we intend. He knows what our soul is saying to itself. Right? He knows what's in our hearts. He knows our motivation. That makes sense? So the articulation of the intention is for what? What purpose does it serve when Allah Ta'ala already knows who you're praying for and why you're praying? Right? Allah Ta'ala already knows your intention behind your giving sadaqah. Allah Ta'ala, He knows. So you're articulating it for who? For what? There's another aspect, another angle to show how this is something that is not permissible. It's not needed. It's not necessary in any which way, shape, or form. The Shaykh, he mentions, he says, إِلَّا الْحَجْ وَالْعُمْرَةِ, except for Hajj and Umrah. نعم. فَلَهُ أَن يُسَمِّي فيه تلبيته ما نواه من القران أو إفراد أو تمتع. He says except for Hajj and Umrah, because it is okay for him to mention inside of his talbiyah that which he intends to do, whether it be from Qur'an, نعم, or Ifrad, or Tamattu'. فيقول لبيك عمرة وحجا. So he says لبيك عمرة وحجا. نعم. Some of the people, in other words, some people bring this as an argument to say, but the intention is mentioned there. But the intention, it is mentioned there. نعم. So some of the scholars, they say, okay, even if that is the case, then this will be the exception, the only time that you would articulate the intention. This will be an exception. This will be the only time that you will articulate the intention. Now, those that say, okay, if for argument's sake, let's say it's like that, and this is the only proof that we have to do that, so it's only done in that particular instance. Now, others from the ulama, they say no. They say this is actually not the articulation of the intention, although it appears to be so, on his zahir, apparently. They said, but in reality, it is nothing more than the dua that the Prophet ﷺ taught us how to say in this instance, and so the wording comes in that. That is the dhikr, that's the dua you say in that instance. That's the dhikr that's mentioned in that instance. And we're taught to say, umratan wa hajjat, to the end of it. Now, so it's not the articulating of the intention, but it's the dhikr that is made, it's the dua that is made at that time. Now, ala kulli hal, whether this or that, there's no proof to enter that into other acts of worship, right? But he says أو لبيك حجا أو لبيك عمرة نعم لثبوت السنة في ذلك دون غيره. He said, and this is only because, and he wants more examples. Let's say لبيك يعني حجا, لبيك حج, لبيك عمرة, يعني due to the proofs and evidences that have been firmly established as relates to that, because it's firmly established inside of the Sunnah as relates to that, to the exception of other than it. Naam, meaning that it's only mentioned for that and for nothing else. Naam. So now, what are some of the benefits that are extracted from this particular hadith? What are some of the benefits that are extracted from this particular hadith? The Shaykh, he brings 8. Naam. And in Bidnillahi ta'ala, all 8 of these are definitely going to be on the homework. All 8 definitely going to be on the homework. Naam. And all 8 of these, you want to get them down, inshallah ta'ala. And as an exercise, right? I'll mention the benefit that Shaykh Abdul Muhsin mentions, and then I want you to show me where in the hadith points to that. Like, what part of the hadith was that benefit extracted from? Because this is the manner, and this is from how we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by way of seeking knowledge. Now, because seeking knowledge is worship. Seeking knowledge is ibadah. Bila shakku bila rayb. And it is important that we understand it as such. We understand its reality and we approach it as such. Because then we'll be able to approach it appropriately. Seeking knowledge and seeking to understand, then this is ibadah. This is worship. Now, the first benefit in which he mentions, he says, أَنَّهُ لَعَمَلْ إِلَّا بِنِيَّةٍ, that there is no action except that it has an intention. Right? There is no action that a person will be rewarded for and or punished for except that it has an intention. Okay? If something were done involuntarily, is that person subject to punishment? And are they eligible for reward? For example, a person, he sleepwalks. They sleepwalk, right? So while they were sleepwalking, whatever that they have done, are they eligible to be rewarded? Or are they subject for punishment? No, because there's no intention. The person who's sleeping, the angels are not writing for them, right? The person who is crazy, they have lost their sanity. When they do things, are they subject to be punished? Are they eligible for reward? No, because what? The angels are not writing for them. Because what they're doing, there's no intent behind it. There's no intent behind it. So therefore, they're not rewarded for it. Right? They're not rewarded for it. What portion of the hadith is this benefit extracted from? Hmm? Again, that verily, la amal illa biniyya. There is no action except that it has an intention. Is from what part of the hadith? Na'am, innama al-a'malu bin-niyat. Ahsant. Na'am, that actions are but by their intentions. طيب. وأن الأعمال معتبرة بنيتها. And that actions will be considered based upon their intention. Right? So, if an action is, whether an action is sound, acceptable, eligible for reward, right? Or if the action is corrupt, which will make a person subject for punishment, that will be dependent on what they intended. That makes sense? Okay. So, what portion of the hadith gives us this understanding? Now, but more so specifically to this hadith. Which phrase in the hadith gives us this understanding? That whether an action is sound, acceptable, or it is corrupt and not acceptable will be based upon the intention. What portion of the hadith is dalil for this? Naam, same sentence. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. So when we go back to the first sentence, we extract from it that one, actions that either you're going to be rewarded or punished for, every one of them has an intention. Has an intention. Every one of them has an intention. Now, and also, whether that action is sound or not will be dependent on your intention. Right? Because if a person, if they were to fast in Ramadan because they were scared of their father, right? And so their intention was they don't want, the father to be mad at them. Then their fasting is what? Their intention for fasting is corrupt. That's a corrupt intention. So because that intention is corrupt, they're not eligible to be rewarded for it. But rather they're subject to be punished. Why? Because their intention is corrupt. They built upon corrupt foundation. But if a person fasts in Ramadan, ihtisaban, they fast in Ramadan because they're seeking the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're seeking to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then their intention is what? Is sound. Same actions, fasting, right? But this one is fasting for Allah, fi sabilillah, seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, their intention is sound. They built upon a sound foundation, right? So whether or not the intent is sound or not, there's not a single action except that it has an intention, right? So let's go back. The first sentence points us to that there's not a single action except that it has an intention. It also points us to there's not a single intention except that it's either going to be sound or corrupt. It's either going to be correct or incorrect. That makes sense? But another point of benefit, أن الثواب العامل على عمله على حسب نيته, is that whether or not an individual will be rewarded for his action is based upon what they intended. Naam, is based upon what they intended. So the reward for the action is linked to a person's intention. Right? You with me? The reward of an action is linked to a person's intention. What part of the hadith is a dalil for this? Not the first sentence, but which one? Nah, the second sentence. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى. And that every person will have what they intended. Meaning, every person will be rewarded based on their intention, or they will be punished based on their intention. So everybody will have that which they intended, meaning that they will be rewarded based on their intention, or they'll be punished based on their intention. So we go back to the example of fasting. The person who fasted out of fear of their father, then their deed won't be accepted, and they're subject to punishment. Why? Because of what they intended. Now, if a person fasted for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they will be rewarded with Allah ta'ala, and their deed is acceptable because their intention was sound. Their intention was sound. Now, and in this, and this is very important, because it shows you and it gives you an appreciation of the people of knowledge. It gives you an appreciation of the people of knowledge. Now, and it shows you too that a person, those people who say, عندهم كتب ولي كتب, as if to say we're equal. They got books, I got books. عندي نفس الكتب عندهم. I got the same books they got. Okay, but when you read, you don't see what they see, right? And this is here is a point, is how the mashayikh, the ulama, they extract all of these benefits that are derived, that perhaps all the 40 some odd years I've been on earth reading the hadith, all the years reading the hadith, I ain't never seen all of this. Right? And this is it shows the level, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them basira, He has given them insight. So they look at stuff and they see what we don't see. Now, they look at stuff and they see what we don't see. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ, he encouraged us to share knowledge. Right? Because perhaps the one who you give it to, or perhaps you give it to one who has more understanding than you. Right? You give it to one who has more understanding than you. Afqa mink. Now, but a person say, well, how is that? If I'm the one transmitting it to you, but you're going to understand it better than me? Yeah, sometimes it's like that. Because if you convey it to an alim, one who has ilm, one who has been, Allah has blessed him with basira, they will be able to extract from it what you never realized and took notice was there. Now, what you never took notice was there. It's like a swimmer. It's like a diver. Right? Not all divers are the same. You have divers that can dive in the exact same place, they come up with treasures. Other divers dive in the exact same place, they just swim around with the fishes. This one comes up and he said, I saw a nice big fish here, I saw this, that, and this and that, I touched the corals and all that stuff. The other one come up, we got pearls and all kind of treasures. Why? Not every dive is the same. You say, but it's the same body of water, it's the same area, it's the same place. Yeah, but not all dive is the same. So yeah, it's the same hadith, but the mashayikh, the ulama, they see what we don't see. And this is why we are in need of benefiting from them as much as possible before they leave. Meaning before they pass away. Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah ta'ala, he used to contemplate. Remember that the line of poetry? We said that Imam al-Shafi'i, he would say, "Ilmi ma'i haythu ma tawajjahtu yanfa'uni," that my knowledge is with me, wherever I go it benefit me. قلبي وعاء له لا صندوق لا بطن صندوقي, or بطن قطبي. He said that my heart is a container and a vessel that holds it, not the innermost portion of boxes or inside of books. Now, Imam al-Shafi'i, it's been narrated upon him that one time he spent the night at his companion's house, and the companion brought for him water, and he left the water by the door. And in some narrations it was said that he visited Imam Ahmad, and so the water was placed outside the door. He went in after Isha, right? And then the household, when they got up in the morning, they realized the water wasn't touched. And then he went to Fajr, he didn't make wudu. So they said, SubhanAllah, we heard so much good about this sheikh, but we see that the water was there, was not touched. So that means he didn't pray at nighttime, right? Because it's under the assumption that a person breaks wudu at some point, go to sleep, wake up, he broke wudu. So you gotta use the water. He didn't use the water, and then now Fajr come, he don't use the water. So they said, what is this? He don't pray at night, and then he pray without wudu. So he said, I asked him, because again, you don't know what's going on. Yeah, so you have to ask, we have to investigate, we see, question. Not you just hold a bad opinion and that's it. Now next time you see him, you treat him cold when you give him salams. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Yeah, like salam. Because your mind, you don't pray at night, you pray in Fajr, that will do. Right? And this is bad. When you see something from your brother that causes you to question, talk to him. Talk to him. Sit down. Say, I don't understand something good. Could you please help me? Right? Because that would alleviate that open communication. It would cut down so much fitna, and it will remove the arrows that Shaitan uses to shoot at us. It will remove him. You'll be able to disarm him. Ala kulli hal, he asked him. He said, you didn't pray at night, and you went and made Fajr without wudu? Imam al-Shafi'i said, no. He said, actually, I made Fajr with the same wudu I had from Isha. I never went to sleep. He said, but rather I was sitting over, pondering over these ahadith and extracting the benefits that was in these ahadith, and then got lost in time, and then next thing I know was Fajr. You see? This was the way of the ulama. They would extract, because him doing that was ibadah. He spent the whole night in ibadah. Contemplating, reflecting, extracting benefits. Now, and this is how we should be when in our pursuits and seeking of knowledge. Bidnillahi ta'ala. But also, fourthly, ضرب العالم الأمثال للتوضيح والبيان is that the teacher, the scholar, they should give examples to make it clearer. To make it clearer. They should give examples to make things clearer. Now, but do we have a proof for this in this hadith? To strike an example to make it more clear? Is there a proof for it? That's the easy question. That's like a yes or no question. Is there a proof for it in this hadith? Yes. Okay, where? Now, ahsant. So whoever his hijrah was to Allah and His Messenger to the end of the hadith. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he laid down a concept. Right? He gave you the concept. That verily actions are by their intentions, and everyone will be rewarded based upon what they intended. That's the concept. Right? In modern jargon, you would say that is that's the rule right there. That's the rule. And then the Prophet ﷺ showed you how that rule, how that principle, or that's the principle, how that principle is applied. Right? How that principle is applied. So he gave you the principle, he gave you the rule, and then he showed you how it was applied. He gave you an example. So whoever's hijrah was to Allah and His Messenger, then his hijrah was to Allah and His Messenger. Whoever hijrah was for the dunya or for a woman to marry her, then his hijrah was that he made hijrah for. So it's the same hijrah, but for this one, he gets rewarded. This one doesn't. This one, his hijrah is accepted. This one, his hijrah is not accepted. This one is written from muhajirun. This one is not. This one is a merchant, or what do you say? He's engaged, right? This one's engaged. Right. So it's different. But that shows you, that the Prophet ﷺ, he's an excellent example in everything. Now, also, Fadl al-Hijrah, and this one is a given. We went over this before. This one is the Fadl al-Hijrah, shows you the superiority of the Hijrah. And that was because why? Because the Prophet ﷺ used it as an example. Right? Out of all of the acts of worship, the Prophet ﷺ used hijrah as an example, which shows that hijrah is a tremendous act of worship. The hijrah. Now, that the Prophet ﷺ used it. وَقَدْ جَاءَ فِي صَحِيحِ Muslim, the Shaykh he mentioned, it comes in Sahih Muslim, and Amr bin Aas, رضي الله تعالى عنه, عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, قال, that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, أَمَّا عَلِمْتَ أَنَّ الْإِسْلَامِ يَهْدِمُ مَا كَانَ قَبْلَهُ. He said, and have you not known that, except that Islam destroys everything that is before it? Meaning that when a person accepts Islam, all of his previous sins are gone. Now, all of his previous sins are gone. This is a very important point that we should share with people who are interested in accepting Islam. When we give da'wah, we should share this fact with them, that all of the previous sins are gone. Because sometimes people, they become shy because of the sins and the transgressions and things that they have put forward from nasty and evil and wicked behavior, that they think, I'm too dirty to become a Muslim. I'm too unclean to ever get clean. I can't change my life because I'm too messed up, I'm too bad. But if they were to know or to be informed that you will be forgiven of all of the things that you have previously done, bidnillahi ta'ala, that will serve as an encouragement for them to enter into the deen of al-Islam. Now, I'm entering into the deen of al-Islam. And I mentioned it before, not here, but other places, that Sheikh Abdul Razak, Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abad al-Badr, ta'ala, gave a very beautiful story. He said there was one of his students who was studying in the University of Medina, and he would go home in the summertime, and he would give da'wah. And from the ways of giving da'wah, he would give da'wah online, through a website or something like this, and people would ask questions or what have you, and he would engage with them. And there was a female that had contacted and said, listen, I've listened to the lectures and what you presented and everything, and I agree with it 100%. Islam is the truth, but I'm too unclean to accept Islam. I want to be a Muslim, but I'm too messed up. Basically, in other words, I'm too messed up. So the Shaykh, he said, why? Oh, the Shaykh, excuse me. He said, the student asked her, why? Why would you say this? She says, because I am a dancer, right? Not like the ballet, no, the other type. She said, I'm this type of dancer, right? And you know all the filth that goes along with that. And she says, I'm too messed up. I can't. How a person like me gonna accept Islam? How a person like me gonna accept Islam? Now the student was very wise. He didn't try to combat her based upon what she mentioned. You understand? So he said to her, he said, hey, have you kill 100 people? She said, what? He said, have you murdered 100 people? She said, no, of course not. Not that bad. Right? Like, that's worse than Jeffrey Dahmer and all. And kill 100 people? Son of Sam may kill 100 people. So he said, oh, not that bad. He said, okay. And he told the hadith about the man who killed 99 people. He wanted to make Tawbah. He asked the ignorant monk if he can make Tawbah. He said no. So he killed him, made 100 to the end of it, right? He said, this man got Jannah. He killed 100 people. And he still went to the Jannah. He said, so are your crimes worse than his? And she said, no. No. He said, and he was forgiven. So why do you think you can't be forgiven? And subhanAllah, she broke down and she accepted Islam. Alhamdulillah. So this is a very excellent hadith that we share with the people, that all their previous sins will be forgiven. So a person says, okay, now I'm Muslim. Okay, how am I going to get my sins forgiven? I can't accept Islam again. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, وَأَنَّ الْهِجْرَةَ تَهْدِيمُ مَا كَانَ قَبْلَ. And at the hijrah, it will destroy everything that came before it. The hijrah, it will destroy all the previous bad deeds, wiped away. They disappear. So that's tremendous, right? Also, وَأَنَّ الْحَجْجِ يَهْدِمُ مَا كَانَ قَبْلَ. And that the Hajj destroys every bad deed that came before it. Right? That's just something to think about. Something to think about. The importance of Hajj, the importance of Umrah. Because Umrah from Umrah will erase the sins between the two. Right? Now, I want you to think about this. We're in the process of community building, right? Building community. Okay. What do you think is better? That we try to build a community with a whole bunch of dirty people? When I mean dirty, I mean with sins. You make istighfar, that's how you clean your sins. Right? When you praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's like perfuming a garment. Right? When you praise Allah, that's like perfume for a garment. But you need both, right? Because if a person is dirty, you just don't put perfume on top of dirt. No, you clean the dirt and you put perfume. So you're doing both. You ask Allah to forgive you, and then you praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, ala kulli hal. So is it better now? We're going to try to do great, beautiful things with a bunch of people that says really, 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 really caked on dirty, right? Or we make it easy for them by facilitating for them opportunities where they can get a whole bunch of that dirt removed and get cleaned up. Which one is better? The second one, right? Then we get a whole bunch of get cleaned up. Now, with that being the case, then I'm just going to throw this out there like that. That shows you the importance that every year there should be a group of us making Hajj from this community. Every year, a group of us making Umrah from this community. We want all the Muslims to benefit, no doubt. We want everybody to benefit, right? But like on the lifeboat on the Titanic, what are we going to do? We're going to get in first, right? So we want to benefit too. So this is just something to throw out there, that this is something that we really need to be doing, because it will help us as a community. It will really help us as a community, and it will help us before that as individuals. Also, the next point, أن الإسلام يؤجر أو يؤزر أو يحرم بحسب نيته. وعفوا أن الإنسان يؤجر أو يؤزر أو يحرم بحسب نيته, is that a person, he will be rewarded or he will be punished or prevented based upon his intentions. Now, and we get that from which portion of the hadith? That you'll be rewarded or you'll be prevented or you will gain sin based upon your intentions from which part? Next one. Now, and that verily everyone will have that which they have intended. وأن الأعمال بحسب ما تكون وسيلة أو وسيلة له, and that action they will be What do you say? They will be considered as relates to what they are a road to. The actions will be dependent on what they are a road to do it. Right? فَقَدْ يَكُونُ شَيْء مُبَاحٍ فِي الْأَصْلِ وَيَكُونُ طَاعَةً إِذَا نَوَى بِهِ الْإِنسَانِ خَيْرًا. Is that something can be in its origin mubah, right? But if in its origin, but if a person intends by it, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it becomes good. It becomes a good deed, right? It becomes a good deed, right? Like كالأكل والشرب, like eating and drinking. إذا نوى به التقوية على العبادة. If a person intends by it to strengthen himself with worship. So, if a person sleeps at night, says, I'm going to take a power nap, I'm going to get some rest time, right? But he intends that he's going to do it so he can get to work early because he's been late all this week. Then another person, he says, I'm going to get some shut-eye so I can be strengthened, more invigorated, so I can get up to pray Fajr, pray the Sunnah in the house, and then pray Fajr in the masjid without having rush. So I'm going to get up early, 45 minutes early, hour early. So they both went to sleep to get up early. The one, so he stopped being late. The other one, so he could be more invigorated to come and worship it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But for A, the one who don't want to be late, is he rewarded for his sleep? No. Nothing against him. So he got to sleep. It's okay. He don't get no sin. But he don't get rewarded for it. Now, I want you to understand this. We're not saying that A didn't make Fajr. A made Fajr too. He made Fajr in the masjid too. But his intention of going to bed early was so he's not late for work. You understand? B, his intention was to pray in the masjid early. Does he get rewarded for his sleep? Yes. Now this one gets rewarded for sleeping. You see? So depending on your attention, it can turn something that is an everyday action into an act of worship. Right? At the same time, it can make something that is an everyday thing haram. Give an example. A baseball bat, right? Or a cricket bat, right? If I have a sporting goods store and I sell it, is it haram to sell these sports things? No, it's okay, right? But now if a person come in, he mad. I can see it on him. Yo, let me get that bat. So, okay, which one? This one? No, that one right there, the thick one. Yes, I'm going to go bust this joke in his head. Right? Now, at that point, is it permissible for me to sell him that bat? No, it's haram now. It's haram. Why? Because if I sell him that bat, he's going to go do haram with it. And he told me he's going to do haram with it. So now I'm liable. Now I'm on the hook. No, had he just bought it, I didn't know he was going to buy it for it. It has nothing to do with me. Right? But he told me, I'm going to go hit this guy in the head with the bat. Right? So now I can't sell it. I can't sell it. It's not haram. It is now. Because you want to use it to beat someone. And this is what is meant by the Sheikh's statement, that an action will be in accordance to what it is a road and a means to. What is a means to? So if it is a means to doing something halal, then you'll be rewarded for the means that you took to get there. Now, but if it is a means to do something haram, then now you're going to be, you're subject to being punished for the road you took to get there. That makes sense? But also, and lastly and eighthly, from the benefits, أن العمل الواحد يكون للإنسان أجرا ويكون للإنسان حرمانا. Is that an action, the same action, for one person, they will be rewarded, and for another person, they'll be prevented from being rewarded and or punished for it. Now, that one person do something and they get a reward for it, the other person do something and they'll be punished for it. What portion of the hadith points us to this with its example? It's kind of a trick question. That's right. Well, I just said it's a trick question, right? Because all of the hadith points us to this with its, that's why I said with its example. That was the swinger there. With the example. And that's what the whole hadith points us to, that you can have the exact same action. A person do it, they get rewarded. Another person do it, they don't get rewarded. A person do it, then it's accepted. Another person does the exact same thing, and it's not accepted. And then Imam al-Nawawi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he goes on to the next hadith, the hadith that is tremendous, and this hadith is called Hadith Jibreel. Also, the ulama, they say this hadith is Sunnah. It is the mother of the Sunnah, because just like the Qur'an is just like Fatiha is the mother of the Qur'an, then this hadith is the mother of the Sunnah. The hadith that explains in general the deen of al-Islam. But bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we will say that to the next sitting, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and yuwafiqni wa iyyakum lima yuhibbuhu wa yarda, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives me and you the success of doing that which He loves and that which He's pleased with. Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna ma yanfa'una wa zidna 'ilma. This is a hadith, or this is a dua, as it comes, that we should constantly be striving to make. Oh Allah, benefit us with that which you have taught us, and teach us that which benefits us and increase us in knowledge. And this is what we want, to have beneficial knowledge, and to seek refuge in Allah from ilmun ladhi la yanfa', from knowledge that does not benefit. There's a lot of knowledge out there, right? There's knowledge that benefits and knowledge that don't benefit. Now, so knowledge of the deen, it benefits. Now, knowledge of silly and erroneous things, it don't benefit. Now, so we want the knowledge that benefits, and not the knowledge that does not benefit, and that we are benefited and increased by knowledge. And we ask Allah to increase us in ilm. Wa sallallahu ta'ala and yaj'alna mubarakan haythuma kunna. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us blessed wherever we may be. Na'am. وَمِنْ مَنْ إِذَا أُعْتِيَ شَكَرٍ, and that He makes us from those who, when they are given, they are thankful. وَضُبُطُولِيَ الصَّبَرِ, and He makes us from those that when they are tested, they are patient. وَإِذَا أَذْنَبَ اسْتَغْفَرَ, and He makes us of those who, when they make sins, they ask for forgiveness. فَإِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ ثَلَاث عُنْوَانُ السَّعَادَةِ, because these three things, then they are signs and indications of happiness. That if a person has these three characteristics, that they are thankful when they are given, patient when they are tested, they patient when they are tested, and they ask for forgiveness when they make sins, then these are signs that they are happy. They're going to be happy. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. They'll be successful when they meet their Lord Jalla wa'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who are adorned with the likes of these characteristics. ونكتفي بهذا القدر وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وجزاكم الله خيرا.